Welcome all to the American Public University System Symposium. I'm Trevor Cook. Today's presentation theme is the current science knowledge in support of popular science and writing. We will get to The Heart of Sparing Nature by Trevor McKee. Let's get started. The brief content is broken down between focal points of the book. We'll discuss some of the background of the author in the book and then get into the correlation of how our growing population is negatively impacting our planet and ultimately our own species' unsustainable existence. Here we go. The book Sparing Nature was written by Jeffrey Kevin McKee, a professor at The Ohio State University in Columbus, Ohio, where he serves as a physical anthropologist and conducts research on hominoid evolution and paleoecology. Since his birth in 1958, he has obtained his PhD in anthropology and has had over 20 years of field experience, from archaeological surveys in Ohio and Missouri to excavations investigating in South Africa. He has written numerous articles ranging from mass extinction to taxonomic and evolutionary affinities. His bio goes on from lectures, publications, and book reviews. Sparing Nature is just one of the 4 books he has written or co-wrote. When Jeffrey McKee published Sparing Nature in 2003, climate change and our impact on Earth's biodiversity was not a new topic around the world. Still, here in 2020, this book has continued to remain current as the state of our planet continues to deteriorate at a preventable unnatural state. The book provides a direct relation to the human species' continuously growing population and the shrinking of Earth's biodiversity, which is in correlation with global climate change. Referencing Darwin's wedge, when one species overpopulates an area, the weaker species are wedged out of the environment or worse into extinction. We as humans are consumers, and this is evident through our consumption of the Earth's resources. As the author put it, Sparing Nature is more than just a title. It holds 2 meanings. 1, nature has been comparatively sparing in the space and resources necessary to support both wildlife and the human population, but the human population is at a great risk of growing more quickly than the planet's resources can sustain. And 2, we humans have an obligation to spare nature from the devastating effects of human overpopulation. In 2003, the human population was just over 6 billion people, an estimated 6.353 billion according to the World Bank. Worldwide, there was a combined net gain of humans of 1.25%. Essentially, 76 million people would be added to the earth the following year. While this would be a decent interest rate in a bank account, you can see that the 1.25% is a major problem long-term when considering the human population. Today, there are 7.631 billion people on the planet. In under 20 years, we have added 1 billion people. The good news is that the net growth has dropped to the 1.05%, with an estimated addition of 81.33 million people for 2020. This is significant data because while the goal is to get to a net gain of 0, based off our growing population each year, we must still sustain the 7+ billion humans we currently have. Like fish in a fish tank, the more fish added, the more problems the tank begins to have. The filter can't keep up, more food is needed, and disease has a higher rate of spreading. All living things need energy, and for humans this means consuming food. With over 7 billion humans and counting to feed, agriculture has been a proven method for centuries now to effectively and efficiently feed the masses. From crops and livestock, the more humans populating the planet, the larger and more farms we need to produce the food. As best put in Sparing Nature, the reality is that agriculture is a more insidious form of environmental destruction. Here's why this is important. When we clear land, whether it be for wetlands or forests, we are tearing down rich ecosystems and limiting the biodiversity to just a single crop. While the soil diversity and richness bring about a great harvest, over time the exposed soil will run off from rain, dry out, and lack the nourishment needed to grow more crops. This is also known as desertification, and it's also the problem all over the world. Not only do we lose land formerly employed for agricultural purposes, but this forces us to expand farming into formerly wild territories so we can feed the growing population. As we clear these lands, we are also clearing carbon sinks, like tropical forests, which store the carbon equivalent to more than half of what is in the atmosphere. While agriculture is not the only culprit to global warming, we are chipping away at nature's filter and continue to consume ourselves into a warmer planet. Living things need water. While it may seem there is water aplenty, there's roughly only 0.3% usable by humans. Yes, not even a full percent of our planet, over 70% covered by water, is considered usable. As a necessity for survival and as the human population grows, we continue to stretch this resource to the point cities experience water shortages. Again, best stated in Sparing Nature, even with more productive crops and more efficient farming practices, there must be an increase in the space utilized for agriculture. The amount of land needing irrigation is expected to nearly double by 2050, continuing to stress resources. We continue to pollute our waters as well, directly or indirectly. Runoff-carrying soils and fertilizers from agricultural lands lead to the eutrophication of rivers and streams. This runoff can happen from increasing rainstorms as global warming disrupts weather patterns. More water is evaporated off the oceans and dumped in the increasing troves on the lands. Excessive rains and flooding carry diseases downstream and further hurt the biological diversity both in pH imbalances and thermal pollution. Water is a renewable resource. However, when you have a population of over 7.6 billion people, crops, livestock, and nature itself, it is very easy to see how much of a challenge it will be to keep water accessible for all. Since Sparing Nature was written, There have been several new technological advances to slow down our impacts to global warming in the way of greenhouse gas emissions. Countries are escaping the use of fossil fuels and pushing themselves to a more sustainable clean energy like solar wind power. Water and agriculture will always be interwoven, and new practices in sustainable agriculture considering soil health and less wasteful watering methods are continuously being refined. While the human species can correct actions to curb global warming through better energy practices, food and water are not infinite if our species grows beyond the capacity of food and water available for basic survival. Sparing nature has laid out the roadmap to the consequences of our overpopulation. We must educate and continue taking action to avoid a dark future for our species and planet. Thank you for your time in today's presentation.